Tonight on Prime, the remarkable story of how the CIA and Ukrainian intelligence forged a deep secret partnership that began a decade ago and has been crucial in helping Ukraine defend itself against Russia's invasion. It has also given the U.S. extraordinary insight into Russia. ABC's Patrick Reevell spoke with former U.S. and Ukrainian officials who told him how the CIA and Ukraine became allies in a shadow war.
These men are new recruits to Ukraine's military intelligence service. Known by its acronym PUR, the service's soldiers are now considered to be some of Ukraine's most daring and elite. It's no secret the United States has been helping Ukraine defend itself in its war with Russia. But alongside the raging conventional fighting, there is a story of a different war that is much less well known, a shadow war.
What kind of training did the CIA provide to Ukrainian intelligence?
It's better to say the best one.
Lieutenant General Valery Kondratyuk is a former senior Ukrainian intelligence officer. He's at the center of this story. How over the last decade, the CIA helped remake Ukraine's intelligence services.
І от хочу сказати, що певний момент, певний час ГУР став. Головне управління розвідки Міністерства оборони стало головним партнером Центрального розвідувального управління Сполучених Штатів. Головним. Більше, ніж Великобританія.
They went from being zero to one of our most important partners up in the realm of the Brits.
Kondratyuk led HUR from 2015 to 2016. His account was confirmed by former US officials. They didn't want to appear on camera. The figures you see are actors. The voices are theirs, but disguised.
It was groundbreaking how we rebuilt that service. And, you know, the payoff came in the early days of the war, and the HUR special operations guys were able to, hit the Russians hard and hit them in ways that they didn't expect. And that was a result of, the years of investment from the agency.
The CIA and Ukrainian intelligence have forged a remarkable partnership, transforming what was once a Cold War enemy into a key American ally.
Their access was so significant. Here was the best friend of the Russians for many, many years. They knew things we just frankly had no idea of.
The story begins back in 2014. Amidst Ukraine's Maidan revolution, months of mass protests against Ukraine's Russian-backed president had driven him from power. The country's new pro-Western government appointed Valentin Nalyvaichenko as the new head of Ukraine's domestic intelligence service, the SBU. Amid the chaos, he arrived at his new office.
I was absolutely shocked when I entered the absolutely empty premises of SBU here in the center of the city. Predecessor fled to Crimea, his first deputy fled to Russia. It was totally compromised and destroyed. That was, for me, unimaginable.
Nalyvaichenko says that very night he called to the US and British embassies. That was the beginning.
We could feel a palpable change on the Ukrainian side, and then there were those of us on the agency side are like, hey, this is something to exploit. We need to change with it. Let's exploit that. Let's help, the Ukrainians be Ukrainians.
But the US was initially cautious, worried that Ukrainian intelligence was still penetrated by Russia. To convince the Americans of Ukraine's value, Kondratyuk flew to Washington with a suitcase packed with top-secret Russian documents.
I was like, holy and he's like, yes, we have a gift. I was like, well, that is going to be a great gift. He decided that the West is our future, and so he essentially started opening the files and showing us and the other services, hey, this is what we have to offer. This is what this is our capabilities on Russia. And as this stuff adds up and as it checks out, people are going like, man, this is legit,
The Ukrainians gave the US a remarkable view into Russia's military, insight into Russian capabilities, technology, decision-making.
This is something an American Congress needs to know. What they have done as a service and what Valery has done personally has saved the U.S. taxpayer hundreds of millions of dollars, maybe even billions of dollars. Is he's provided information that we never had access to that is going to inform how we make decisions in wartime. Heaven forbid we ever have to go to war. In the end of the day, we needed the Ukrainians as much as they needed us on Russia.
After that, things accelerated. The CIA began providing millions of dollars in funding, training and equipment, alongside Britain's MI6 intelligence service.
Secure communication, spacecraft, just basic street stuff, right? Just basic stuff. Because these guys heretofore had been, trained using the old, Soviet and Russian intelligence methods. And so we were, imparting to them Western intelligence tradecrafts.
All our previous school based on the experience from the Soviet Union. But we really need a new approach how to organize the intelligence services of democratic states and countries.
At the center of the training effort was a new elite Ukrainian commando force called Unit 2245. A former officer of the unit, Kirilo Budanov, is now the head of Ukraine's military intelligence. The CIA also eventually helping build a dozen forward operating bases for HUR along the border with Russia. The CIA and Ukraine also launched a program dubbed Operation Goldfish, training Ukrainians to pose as Russians in third countries around the world.
It was very successful at that. It was essentially deploying their officers on our behalf to target, Russians in different places in the world.
But US administrations, from the Obama administration to the Trump and then Biden, always remained worried about provoking Russia. The push to do more always coming from the Ukrainians. Kondratyuk himself lost his job over an operation into Crimea seen as too aggressive by the Obama administration.
We always had to, respect those red lines, but they hated that we had so many red lines.
CIA-trained officers proved to be crucial when Russia launched its full-scale invasion in 2022.
That's a missile!
All these guys were the first line of our defense which meet Russian in the first day of invasion.
Following the invasion, many restrictions on CIA operations were lifted. Ukrainian officials say without the intelligence support, Ukraine could not have held off Russia. Vladimir Putin has long argued the CIA was controlling Ukraine. Some have criticized the partnership as provoking Putin.
I think some people will ask, did this cooperation between the CIA and Ukraine provoke Putin into launching his invasion?
Це якраз та є російська пропаганда, маніпуляція для того, щоб якось виправдати це нелюдське, жахливе вторгнення в іншу країну. Наша співпраця, вона не спровокувала. Вона лише посилила наші можливості щодо спротиву, сьогоднішньому спротиву російській агресії.
We had only, as well as now, two options. First, to be in Russia, being dissolved, occupied with KGB back, and the other option to become a democratic country with democratic special services and protecting people, independence, sovereignty, and human rights. We made our choice.
A great honor to have you.
With Donald Trump about to enter the presidency, all sides are now preparing for peace talks in Ukraine.
North.
It raises so many questions about how the war will end and what it will mean for the partnership with the CIA.
Our thanks to Patrick Reevell for that in-depth report.